What's up, Kart Masters? Nightside back with another quick video. Now, Capcom was generous enough to bestow upon me early access to the Monster Hunter Rise PC demo, which is the same demo that you played on the Switch, but better. What do I mean by better? Well, of course, better frame rate, graphics, and just an overall and incredibly smooth gameplay all around. Let's talk about how the PC version feels. As always, drop a like and a comment letting me know how you feel about the PC version of the demo, and smash that subscribe and bell buttons like you would a Rajong's face to find the next time I post up another video. Without further ado, let's get to it. For starters, let's talk about the various options we have for settings. Typical of any other PC game, there are graphical presets that you can use in case you don't want to fine-tune anything. By clicking on Advanced Graphic Settings, it will allow you to change various things such as toggling high-resolution textures, motion blur, depth of field, and more. On the main display settings, you are also able to change from standard to widescreen in addition to adjusting your frame rate cap. Obviously, for those of you that have higher refresh rate monitors, you'll want to set it to the respective settings if your hardware struggles, or leave it uncapped because your setup is a beast. I can't speak too much on keyboard and mouse controls as I primarily play on pad, but I will say it took a little bit of time for me to get adjusted to the default bindings for some things such as silk bind attacks and wire bug zipping. After about a good 15 to 30 minutes worth of hunting, I got used to it pretty well. Not to mention that thanks to the mouse, you have incredibly fast camera and aiming control, so you can make snapshots much easier and much quicker. Don't forget, you can also freely bind the keys to whatever you desire. Now, this impressions video will be solely based off of solo gameplay, as I'd imagine multiplayer would feel no different. I'd like to believe that there would be no issues in multiplayer, as most gaming PCs should be able to handle the game fairly well, whereas the Switch would struggle on specific maps and even more so with multiplayer. The game, as you can imagine, plays extremely smooth on PC thanks to the frame rate being way over 30 frames. It got to the point where I actually needed to get adjusted to the frame rate, as I had to be a tad more exact with counter timing with the longsword, as opposed to on the Switch where I felt like I needed to time it a tad earlier sometimes. The high resolution textures also really show in both player characters and monsters, and settings such as field of vision and motion blur really add to the immersion of the game. It's no surprise, but it's incredibly breathtaking seeing how Monster Hunter Rise can run at its full potential, completely unbound by the limitations of the Switch hardware. Though I'll miss the portability of the Switch, I take this hot piece of Congalala ass any day on the PC. With regards to concerns, there are only a couple of things that particularly stand out, and they're issues that still persist on the Switch version of the game as well, and that's dropping inputs in addition to input delays. Now, I spent a good maybe 100 hours or more on the Switch demo solely speedrunning Magnum Malo and Mizutsune in addition to playing multiplayer, and I would frequently find myself dropping special sheaths which turned into dodge rolls, or foresight slashes that turned into a thrust or a spare blade. I even had issues with the radial menu and trying to use an item right off the bat right after taking a hit, where I'd be constantly clicking the right stick trying to make sure that I healed, and in some cases I wouldn't. Now, I felt the input delays and input drops a lot less playing the PC version of the game, but the problems are definitely still there. People sensitive to input timing or delay will catch it as well, and while it might not matter to the vast majority of players, it's still an issue nonetheless that'll affect hardcore enthusiasts such as myself, and especially speedrunners. Another issue that I also had during my time with the demo were frame jumps and stutters. I had multiple instances where the game would freeze or hiccup momentarily and then skip or fast forward, completely throwing me off. Now, my rig is completely beast. I have a Ryzen 5950 with a 3080 Ti and about 32 gigabytes of RAM. The game runs flawlessly at maxed out settings at 1080p between 100 to 144 frames, depending on what's happening in the game. Despite all this, I still suffered frame skips. Now, I hope it's nothing to do with maybe hardware incompatibilities, or maybe it's just the demo. Who knows? I hope that this is just something that can be fixed prior to the full game's launch. Honestly, the PC demo is everything I could have hoped for a PC port for Monster Hunter. It's nice to see Capcom really give PC a lot more attention, and it gives me a lot of hope for future releases as well. Now, although we know that Capcom won't be able to officially develop crossplay or cross-save for the game, you can always count on the modding community to think of something. That being said, the demo comes out on the 13th of October, which as of this posting of the video should be basically right now. Try out the game and see how you feel. Honestly, the PC version of Rise gives the complete overhaul it deserved, graphics and performance-wise, to where I feel super motivated to play the game, even if I have to start all over. After all, you start over every single time you play a new Monster Hunter. Am I right? Let me know in the comments what you think of the PC demo, and if you think that the game runs well enough in the demo to where you actually pick it up on release. Don't forget, you can catch me live streaming on Twitch as well on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at around 9 AM Pacific time or earlier, where I usually play a variety of games including Apex Legends and of course Monster Hunter. If you want to see a professional Kartmaster suck it up at Longsword, I'm your e-boy. That's it for me, Kartmasters. As always, stay safe, get mad, get sad, have fun, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!
Right now, guys. That should have been an easy fucking sub 10. No carts. But I got absolutely robbed. Because Capcom hates me. Monster Hunter hates me. It's because I use Longsword. The absolute trash tier weapon in this game. No one likes it. Everyone hates it. Everyone's going, oh, this dude's using Longsword. He's just gonna fucking trick me. What a piece of shit. You tell him to go cut the tails, but what does he do? No, he goes straight to the head. Fucking piece of shit.